and won't stand by while animals are suffering. We have to reach those trapped in a life of abuse and neglect before it's too late. Because for many, the RSPCA is their only hope. But we can only come to the rescue with the support of people like you. So please, will you help us be there no matter what? Call 0800 313 4392 or text RSPCA to 78866 to start your monthly gift today. Thank you.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, you're guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
A very good afternoon. You're watching NDTV's very special coverage of 100 days of Trump's administration that will start, that in fact starts today. 100 hours of non-stop coverage of the 100 days that have really shaken up the world. I'm Gauri Dwivedi, and over the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll first talk about the big hits and misses of the 100 days of Trump 2.0. And also the big focus today in this episode will be on foreign policy, the changes that Trump 2.0 has made when it comes to America's foreign policy, from Russia to Iran to China to Ukraine. We'll cover all of that. But first up, we talk about, in just 100 days, President Trump has redrawn the map of US foreign policy, fueling trade wars, challenging NATO, and even threatening territorial claims from Gaza to Greenland. As global alliances fracture and tensions flare, we take a look at the chaos, or some would say the consequences, of Donald Trump's bold return to power. Next up, big hits and misses of Donald Trump's 100 days in power. Let's put that up for you viewers. The graphics that are now on your screens. The big hits as far as Trump 2.0. Well, he did get the two sides talking, didn't he? That was the big thing that he made in terms of the change. Initiated talks when it came to Russia and Ukraine, a war that had been going on for almost 3 years, and at least the two sides are now willing to create some sort of a peace deal. Next up, the other big hit of Donald Trump's administration was the fact that he did secure the border. Illegal immigration has been his big plank, and something that his voters, his supporters feel that he acted upon. Now the illegal immigration through the southern border has all but stopped, something that is a big hit in President's scorecard. Quickly, let's now take a look at the other aspect, which is that there's also been a huge fillip when it comes to the US-based investment plans. There's now global companies looking at coming back to America, producing more. The whole Make in America campaign has now got a big hit and a big fillip with President Trump's policies. We'll talk on that in a bit. But the fact is, American companies want to come back to America. Let's take a look at some of the misses that are there as far as President Trump's scorecard is concerned. Signalgate, one of the biggest miss in terms of the impact this has had as far as the credibility of Trump administration is concerned, especially when it comes to war plans, planning, and such detailed impact when it comes to such sensitive national security related issues. Tariff war. He has initiated a global tariff war. Global markets are rattled, And there is now concern across the world when it comes to security and investors as to what will be the future. All right. Some of the other misses, of course, being the fact that there's been hiring, rehiring, hiring again, given the fact that Doge has pretty much missed the intended objective with which it was formed. Let's now quickly take a look at, and wrongful deportation being the other big miss that has been talked about, is also landed in courts as well. All right, before we move any further, let's quickly now take a look at this report that talks about what all has happened as far as Trump's foreign policy goals, objectives is concerned, and then we come back and decode that did it actually have the intended result or not.
US President Donald Trump has stormed back onto the global stage with a chaotic and controversial first 100 days. His leadership thus far has been defined by punishing tariffs, fierce immigration crackdowns, and bold moves that have challenged international norms.
And we're going to make America great again.
Under his America First agenda, Trump is reshaping US foreign policy in ways in which global partners are growing increasingly wary, unsure of just how far the US president is willing to go. At the center of his agenda is a full-scale trade war. Trump argues the US has been exploited for decades and is now taking action, imposing tariffs that have jolted global markets, dragged down the dollar, and sparked warnings of a possible recession. But his trade first is just one part of a broader shift. Trump has taken a sharp turn on Ukraine, which led to a heated Oval Office clash with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
This war would have been over.
Trump's approach to Russia has raised concerns for Kyiv and Europe regarding loss of territory in exchange for better ties with Putin. The EU is on edge too. Trump's ongoing criticism of NATO, accusing its allies of not pulling their weight, has strained transatlantic relations and cast doubt on America's reliability as a security partner. Adding to the chaos, Trump has floated radical territorial ambitions, threatening to annex Canada, seize control of Greenland and Gaza, reclaim the Panama Canal, and even having renamed the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. Meanwhile, his decision to dismantle US aid has disrupted humanitarian efforts worldwide. Trump's tumultuous first 100 days in office has witnessed a greater focus on addressing the China challenge.
You've been my friend for a long time, and congratulations on having done a great job. Thank you.
For India, the Trump administration is continuing the Biden-era focus on New Delhi and its role in Asia and the world. In a shifting global landscape, America First may have hit some of the traditional positions of American foreign policy, except for New Delhi. With Samia Afsar, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
And we discussed this in greater detail. What is the big impact of Donald Trump's foreign policy changes, the big changes that he has brought about in American policies that have been there for the last several decades? Ravi Agrawal, Editor-in-Chief from Foreign Policy, joins me live to talk more on that. Ravi, thank you so much for speaking to me on NDTV. And as we speak, there are fresh updates coming in that there could be another round of talks that could take place between the Russians and the Americans. And we're going to come to that in just a bit. But I want to start by asking you, what do you make of the rapid changes that have taken place before we talk further about how many wars did Donald Trump really end? Do you think that the departure from the previous positions is something that you got to give him credit for, that at least he's trying to shake things up?
It's had a pretty dramatic impact, Gauri. Over the last 100 days, there have been several surprises, especially when you compare Trump's foreign policies to his first term. The most important of these is that Trump has surprised all of America's allies by taking some of his toughest actions against them rather than against American adversaries. So, for example, on Europe, um, trying to favor to some degree Russia instead of Ukraine, a massive break from US foreign policy and also from the policies espoused by many of Trump's advisors. Some of the toughest initial trade tariffs were put on Canada and Mexico, two US allies who had a free trade agreement with the United States, which was renegotiated by the Trump administration the first time round. So those are some of the more surprising things. I think the tariff policy overall is the one that has really roiled markets. It has really shocked investors, which has led to a lot of loss of faith in America itself, decline in the dollar. There was turmoil in the bond markets, as you're aware. So a lot of turmoil, a lot of bluster. There's a refocusing clearly in terms of trying to be tougher on China than any administration has in the past. But even there, we're seeing the Trump administration signal that it might rein in some of its proposed tariffs on China. So I would define the first 100 days mostly by confusion and chaos for now.
So while you do mention confusion and chaos, I have to put that caveat, Ravi, that to his supporters, to a lot of people around the world, this shaking things up in Washington is something that is being viewed as a big success for the Trump administration. I want to come to the China aspect of it because it impacts India as well, which we'll probably dwell deeper into later in the show. China has been identified as the biggest challenger, the one with whom the trade war is still on. It's escalating at some levels. How do you see the China policy of the Trump administration?
So it's very clear that the Trump administration, and one of the things that most of its key advisors agree on, is that China is the preeminent challenge and maybe even a threat to the United States in the 21st century. The question is how to deal with it. Now, the Biden administration before this had similar views, by the way, but it focused on dealing with China by making it harder for China to access the highest end semiconductors, but also by stitching together a network of alliances, mostly among democracies, Western democracies around the world. The Trump administration has tried to do that first part by making it much harder for China to acquire semiconductors, much harder for China to export goods to the United States, but it has also roiled relations with its allies. So it's trying to have it both ways, pick fights with everyone all at once, which is not something that's going to work out well with China, because as we're seeing, a lot of countries around the world are now beginning to look to China as the reliable partner, as a potential option to strike other trade deals that may bypass the United States. So you're seeing many Latin American leaders have been visiting China in recent days. Xi Jinping also toured Southeast Asian countries, Cambodia, for example, Vietnam, which are all beginning to look at alternatives to the United States. So even though the Trump administration has zeroed in on China, you could argue that it is doing so in a way that is to some degree counterproductive, which is why it now seems to be backing off from the historically high tariffs as much as 150%, which economists, by the way, have all said could end up hurting the United States more than it would China.
Indeed. I have to ask you about the Russia question. There's been on again, off again, the peace talks that have been going on, some progress, derailed completely. In the backdrop of all that, a lot of people see that President Trump views the Russia-Ukraine war as a subset of how he views the US-Russia relationship. Is that a view you share, or do you think that's a very pessimistic view of how President Trump and his administration may sort out the 3-year-plus long war?
So at the very start of his term, President Trump, as you say, pointed out that he would solve the war in 24 hours. That hasn't happened. But for much of the last 100 days, he has appeared to espouse Russian talking points. He has appeared to say that Russia is not responsible for starting the war. It, of course, is. He has said that in his proposal of a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, Ukraine would essentially give up all the territory it's lost so far, including Crimea, which it lost in 2014, and it would get nothing in return. It wouldn't get any American security guarantees. It certainly wouldn't get membership to NATO, which is the one thing that it really wants if it does give up any territory. So he's appeared to really side with Russia in many respects. We're beginning to see that change in the last few days. When President Trump met President Zelensky of Ukraine at the Vatican City at the Pope's funeral last week, it seemed like he was finally coming round to the idea that Putin of Russia was playing him. And he said as much, that it seemed as if Putin was tapping him along, which means that we might be seeing signs now that Trump is realizing that Putin can't be trusted, that Putin has been stringing him along, and that in reality, all the problems that the Biden administration was dealing with in terms of Russia was probably true. So Trump may actually reverse some of what he's been saying so far. Of course, the jury's out.
Right. In fact, stay with me, Ravi, because I want to quickly now get in Professor Harsh Pant and Nicholas Nugent joining me from New Delhi and London to essentially cover the entire gamut of what all Trump administration has achieved or intended to achieve, but sort of failed to reach there. Let me, in fact, get in a quick word from Professor Pant on the India aspect, and then we, of course, delve into some of the other aspects. Ravi, stay with me. Professor Pant, the other aspect in terms of foreign policy of Trump administration, while many would say and would probably have a more pessimistic view, if for want of a better word, when it comes to US relationships with some of the NATO allies, Russia, so on and so forth. When it comes to India, not only there is continuity, stability, but there's in fact a great upside, isn't it?
Well, Gauri, yes, I think with India, certainly there has been more continuity, there has been more stability. I would also use the word in these 4 times, but also a sense of predictability that, bilateral relations thrive when there is a degree of predictability about each other's intentions. And I think in that sense, the early visit that Mr. Modi took to Washington underscored almost all of the commitments that Biden administration and Modi government have been working on and towards. So I think in that sense, the broader framework of the relationship that had been set under Biden, which also part of that had come from Trump 1.0. We saw that continue. We saw an acceleration. We saw the fact that a lot of hinged on technology cooperation, and Trump administration in its second version decided to take it forward. So I do think that there are elements here which bind the two together. Certainly the changing balance of power in the Indo-Pacific, certainly the China factor is there, which allows you to engage each other more substantively. But I do think that the framework that Mr. Modi and President Trump developed or came to an agreement on during Mr. Modi's visit is a solid one. And therefore, we have seen progress, for example, on the bilateral trade agreement happening. India is notoriously bad when it comes to free trade agreements. But now that Mr. Trump is there, perhaps we will see an accelerated process towards that, which we are witnessing over a few years. So I think a lot of the problems were anticipated. Yes. And I think our work on them was done during the first meeting, which I think is a good sign in that sense.
Indeed. And Nicholas, let me then ask you about the other aspect. Enough has been said and more is being talked about how NATO allies seem to have been getting the raw end of the deal here at this stage. Talk to us about what's the view like in London right now in terms of the Trump administration, its outlook for NATO, and also the again, on again, off again when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia issue.
Well, I agree with everything that's been said so far, but you will not be surprised if I tell you that sitting here in the UK, our biggest concern is security in Europe. Because, and I would add to what Ravi said about confusion and chaos, I would add the word unpredictability, because I think that is, for Europe, that is the greatest problem we have. We don't know what's going to happen next. our fears are that NATO, that has kept the peace in Europe since the Second World War, has lost its backbone, because Mr. Trump is clearly not committed to NATO in the way that European member nations are. And indeed Canada, I might add, is also on side with Europe. So we really don't know what's going to happen next. And we are very concerned because you have the greatest conflict in Europe since the Second World War going on at the moment. And our hopes were that Donald Trump, as he promised, would solve it, would bring peace very shortly. Now, 100 days on, that hasn't happened. So really, what is going to happen next, we don't know. I take on board what Ravi was saying about we are just seeing some signs that possibly Mr. Trump is changing his tune a little bit and getting rather more suspicious about Russia and its objectives.
In fact, he said Vladimir stop, didn't he? He said that exactly 3 days back, and probably the harshest tone one could have heard when it comes to how he views the situation to be more complex, with probably lesser answers than what the administration would have ideally had or wanted to. I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back with lots more on the other side, including what it means in terms of the outlook and road ahead going forward. Stay with us.
Love that. I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm gonna get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You know, you have to be comfortable with that.
This baby bear is terrified, torn from her mother's paws at a tender age. They will force her to live alone in a tiny, filthy cage, like so many bears driven mad by loneliness, rubbing their wounds raw against the bars, suffering cruelly day after day, year after year, just for people's entertainment. Four Paws found little Potap crammed into a tiny, squalid cage. He'd been there for almost 9 years, lonely and isolated. There are so many more young bears who need your help. Please call 0800 038 0496 or text BEAR5 to 70800 to give £3 a month via your mobile phone. Every month, your £3 could help us free more bears. Help give bears the veterinary care they need and help them live happy, healthy lives in the freedom of our natural sanctuaries. Please call 0800 038 0496 or text BEAR5 to 70800 to give £3 a month via your mobile phone and help Four Paws free bears from agonizing torture. Please, don't leave these bears to suffer for a single day more.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000, whether it's for home improvements or for some of life's big moments. Evlo looks beyond your credit score and always takes a case-by-case approach. Visit evlo.co.uk to get your conditional decision in minutes.
With Post Office Over 50's life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
Welcome back. You're watching our big focus, 100 days of Trump 2.0, impact on foreign policy. And more importantly, viewers, we now ask what lies ahead. And that's one thing I want to ask all the three panelists. Professor Pant, let me ask you that in terms of what could be the future roadmap in next 100 days, the next 200 days for President Trump and his administration. Wars haven't ended, neither has been some sort of a nuclear pact or arrangement with Iran. How hopeful or optimistic are you that at least some of this would actually be done?
Well, I think if the first 100 days are anything to go by, I would say that more unpredictability is in the offing, because clearly none of the agenda items, big ticket items, have been met. So I think a lot of the energy would certainly now be focused of the Trump administration on trying to conclude some of the big aspects of his agenda, because that's something that is really needed for him to claim that he has had some success. So while in the first 100 days we can be a bit nonchalant about the outcomes, the next 100 days would largely be all about the outcomes, because in the first 100 days it is all about challenging the existing assumptions, reordering, rearranging the world order in the ways that perhaps he would have felt best serve America and American interests. But I think now going forward, there will be a lot of questions, open questions about his ability or inability to deliver, particularly on war and peace issues, which he had said he would be able to deliver quickly. So I think a lot of the focus would be on what happens on the Ukraine front as well as on the Israel front, but perhaps also on the tariff front.
Yes, absolutely, on the tariff front. In fact, CNN says they say that 52 times the president had said that he's going to end the two wars in 24 hours. Nicholas, let me ask you the other question, which is the Iran aspect of it, something that there has been a lot of expectation that there could be some forward movement. How hopeful are you that that could probably be the one big outcome over the next couple of months for Trump administration?
Well, I'm hopeful, of course. I'm hopeful that all these problems will be solved. I mean, we could say that internationally, President Trump has taken on three issues. One is the Ukraine-Russia war, two is the Middle East war, Gaza war, and three is Iran, which is great. People are talking. I mean, that's all very positive. But then I look back to Trump 1, his first outing as president, and there the negotiations that went on, notably with the Taliban in Afghanistan and with North Korea, didn't lead to any results. So he frankly doesn't have a very good track record on that. But I am with you, or with the question, in saying that yes, a deal with Iran is very rightly on the top or near the top of the agenda. I just hope we're going to get some outcome on Iran, on Gaza, and most of all on Ukraine.
We leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for speaking to me. A lot of ground to cover, but I guess that is also telling that just how much an American president needs to focus on, and his 100 days did touch upon a lot of things, but outcomes have been far and few. On that note, completely timed out. On this special edition of 100 Days of Trump 2.0, we focused on foreign policy, but there's more to focus on. Economy, immigration, what happens to some of the other big ticket items, and Donald Trump's ratings that have plummeted. What will he focus on going forward? All that you will find only on NDTV World and its rolling coverage of the biggest global story that's happening around the world.
Love that.
I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm gonna get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You know, you have to be comfortable with that.
Whatever you need to ask about cancer, Macmillan's free support line is just a call away.
Hello, Macmillan.
Whether it's money,
am I going to lose my job?
getting on with life,
Can I still go abroad? Get insurance?
or just need someone to listen,
How do I tell them?
our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, money, life,
Call us now on 0808 134 1000.
Nothing beats a celebration. And at Tesco Mobile, we're ringing in 30 years of Club Card with deals like the awesome new Samsung Galaxy A56 with 12 gigs of data for just £27.99 a month with Club Card prices, saving you £144. Better yet, that price is frozen for the duration of your contract. And you can even bag a £30 Tesco gift card too. It pays to be connected. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
You ever thought about yours?
Funeral? Yeah. Flowers, service.
Everyone there. The more the merrier.
Even your ex, Mark?
It sounds a bit mad, but I think I want to be buried with these.
Scatter you where?
I think here.
It's your day. You have what you want.
What about you with your ex, Sue? Which one?
Start your plans. Talk to Co-op Funeral Care.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000. Get your conditional decision in minutes.
Get £8 off at selected restaurants on Just Eat. Use code APRIL8 now.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Hey, look at our Simply Safe home security system.
Let's install it.
We need another camera.
What for?
The collectibles. What?
Now you've got a camera each.
Yay!
Systems start from under £200 when you buy a professional monitoring plan. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta speaks at an NDTV event, says every Indian has been moved by the Pahalgam attack and says our responsibility is to keep the nation first.
उस हमले को देख करके सबके दिल में ये भाव जरूर आया होगा कि मुझे अगर मौका मिल जाए तो मैं ही जा कर के बंदूक उठाऊं और गोलियों से भून दूं.
The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly holds a special session to condemn the Pahalgam terror attack. They pay tribute to the victims and call it an attack on Kashmiriyat. Chief Minister Omar Abdullah says that all the Kashmiris are united against this attack. 26/11, a terror plotter Tahawar Rana's remand has ended. The NIA has sought his custody for 12 days. For the moment, Patiala House Court has reserved its order on his custody. India and France have signed the 63,000 crore deal for the 26 Rafale M jets for the Indian Navy. The Supreme Court has issued notice to OTT platforms after a plea in the court over banning explicit content available on OTT. The Supreme Court says petition has raised several important concerns. And markets surge over 1% in trade today. The Sensex has surged over 1,000 points, reclaiming it's crossing that 80,000 mark after 4 months. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gargi Raut, and our top story: India today signed a 63,000 crore deal to buy 26 Rafale M fighter jets from France, set to dominate the skies from aircraft carriers INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya. These advanced jets will bolster India's maritime power. Well, for more on this, let me go across to my colleague Vishnu Shom, who will bring us all the details and what this means now for India.